It's Wednesday, the 19th of June 2024, and you're watching Primetime News. Many thanks for joining me for the next 20 odd minutes as we delve into political, economic, and social developments from within and beyond Namibian borders. It's always a pleasure having you. I'm Michael Madimba. We commence tonight's bulletin in neighboring South Africa, where Cyril Ramaphosa was sworn in for a new term as president at a ceremony in Pretoria. Following weeks of coalition talks and negotiations with various parties, the Weekend African National Congress, or ANC, struck a government of national unity agreement with the Democratic Alliance, which saw Ramaphosa re-elected as president of South Africa.
And devote myself to the well-being of the Republic and all its people. So help me God.
Chief Justice Raymond Zondo led Ramaphosa's oath of office ceremony before lawmakers, foreign dignitaries, religious and traditional leaders, and cheering supporters at the Union Buildings, the seat of government. Lawmakers voted overwhelmingly to re-elect the 71-year-old last week, after a May 29 general election that produced no outright winner. Numerous heads of state, including Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Angola's João Lourenço, Congo-Brazzaville's Denis Sassou Nguesso, and Eswatini's absolute leader, King Mswati III, attending the inauguration. Ramaphosa is expected to announce his cabinet within days of his inauguration, as talks with coalition members continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect has been duly sworn in. The President of the Republic of South Africa.
Kanjeni Yambinga reporting for Primetime News.
Back home, a petition for the withdrawal of the unlawfully newly elected Farm Versailles Village Development Committee was handed over to the Commerce Regional Office by the former Farm Versailles Village Development Committee. More from this insert.
Residents of Farm Versailles demanded the reinstatement of the previous Farm Versailles Village Development Committee, arguing that there was no transparency in the election of the current committee.
On the 8th of June, a Regional Council and Windhoek Rural Constituency Office had a meeting on Farm Versailles to elect a committee. This issue was a very great concern to the community, since there was a committee already on the ground that was leading the community, and the term of the community is supposed to end November 2025. The community wanted to know what happened to the community's term that is now being terminated like uncommunicated. How are the things done? What research did they do? What is the purpose of the re-election?
Chief Regional Officer of the Commerce Regional Council, Clement Mafila, received the petition, acknowledging the distraught of the protesters.
It's exactly what we mentioned to them, but we'll come back to them. Procedurally, then we got the petition. We'll table it to the council. That's the council is 28 June next week. And then from there, then we'll deliberate, and then we'll go back to them. Probably then it will be somewhere early in July.
Sylvia Shandali reporting for Primetime News.
On to a development story we've been tracking. The number of deaths in the accident that occurred near Otavi on Tuesday has risen to 9 after a woman died upon arrival at the Otjiwarongo State Hospital. The Namibian Police Force Head of Community Affairs in the Otjiwarongo region, Senior Inspector Maureen Beyer, in an interview with Primetime News earlier today, said the accident involved a 7-seater vehicle and a Toyota Fortuner with 2 occupants. Our correspondent in the region, Walisa Simiasa, files this report.
Beyer said 8 people died in the 7-seater vehicle, while a female Brazilian national in the Fortuner, who had sustained head injuries and a broken leg, died on arrival at Otjiwarongo State Hospital, bringing the total number of deceased persons to 9 so far. The accident occurred approximately 20 kilometers south of Otavi at around 1 p.m. on Tuesday. The Fortuner, which was traveling from the direction of Chuarongo towards Otavi, had allegedly overtook another vehicle, leading to a head-on collision with a 7-seater vehicle, which was traveling from the direction of Otavi with 9 occupants. Police investigations continue. Sylvia Shandali reporting for Primetime News.
On to our next story. The Diamond Manufacturers Association of Namibia handed over donations to the tune of over 100,000 Namibian dollars to the mental health unit of the Windhoek Central Hospital earlier today. During the handing over ceremony, Deputy Minister of Health Esther Moyangwe noted that corporate social responsibility asserts that beneficiaries should respond in a manner which benefits society. Primetime News producer Sylvia Hashandali was at the ceremony and brings us this report.
The donation from the Diamond Manufacturing Association of Namibia to the mental health unit include various items such as furniture, sanitary items, chairs, medical equipment, and mattresses to the value of 132,000 Namibian dollars. Yes, marking phase 1 donation by Diamond. Equally, today we are pleased to launch the second phase of Diamond Corporate Social Investment Project, as they will extend their bequest towards carrying out of maintenance work, painting, window repairs, and the welding of security gates, valued at 150,000 Namibian dollars. I hope I have these figures correct. I also understand that Diamond will further renovate the acute patients room, the reception area at Ward C, repair of outside toilets, and other related plumbing works, as well as the revamping of the forensic ward, again valued at 500,000 Namibian dollars.
Up next is your top roundup with the Primetime Biz segment thereafter. Welcome to the Primetime Biz, your leading source for all things business related. We kickstart the segment at the Bank of Namibia, which has once again decided to keep the repo rate at 7.75% to maintain the stability of the peg between the Namibian dollar and the South African rand, while also providing support to the domestic economy. The central bank's governor, Johannes Gabagab, announced earlier today that decisions were made during the third bi-monthly meeting of the bank's Monetary Policy Committee, which took place on Monday and Tuesday. More insights from this insert.
Bank of Namibia Governor Johannes Gabagab noted that the domestic economic activity increased during the first 4 months of 2024 and that inflation slowed year to date, but edged higher since the previous NPC meeting, while the growth in private sector credit extension remained subdued. Gabagab said that risks to the domestic economic prospects from both external and domestic factors have remained broadly the same since the previous NPC meeting.
To continue safeguarding the peg between the Namibia dollar and the South African rand while supporting the domestic economy, the MPC decided to hold the repo rate steady at its current level of 7.75%. This decision was made following a comprehensive review of domestic, regional, and global economic developments.
Furthermore, the central bank's governor pointed out that in some economies, the process of easing monetary policy had already begun. While the international stock of reserves was adequate, subdued domestic credit growth was a concern. Conjeni Mbinga reporting for Primetime News.
Now, on to business updates from the Horn of Africa. Kenya's government on Tuesday scrapped plans to impose multiple tax hikes, the presidency said, amending a controversial bill that sparked protests where hundreds of demonstrators were arrested. The East African economic powerhouse has struggled with a cost of living crisis, which critics warned would only worsen under the levers laid out in a bill due to be debated this week and passed before the 30th of June. AFP brings us this insert.
Hundreds of mostly young protesters assembled near Parliament on Tuesday, with police firing tear gas, according to AFP journalists. The Human Rights Commission, KNHCR, said 335 arrests were made. Hours later, the presidency announced that it would scrap many of the bill's most contentious provisions, including taxes on bread purchases and car ownership. In a statement issued by the Kenyan presidency, it is noted that the finance bill has been amended to remove the proposed 16% VAT on bread, transportation of sugar, financial services, foreign exchange transactions, as well as a 2.5% on motor vehicle tax. The cash-strapped government had earlier defended the hikes, which are projected to rise some 346.7 billion shillings, equivalent to 1.9% of the GDP, as a necessary measure to cut reliance on external borrowing. While Kenya is among the most dynamic economies in East Africa, roughly a third of the 51.5 million population lives in poverty. Overall inflation has remained stubbornly high at an annual rate of 5.1% in May, while food and fuel inflation stood at 6.2% and 7.8% respectively, according to central bank data. The World Bank this month said that while Kenya's real GDP growth had accelerated last year to 5.6% from 4.9% in 2022, it was expected to slow to 5% this year. Conjeni Mbinga reporting for Primetime News.
This is what we had for tonight's top segment. We now consult the weather oracle on tomorrow's countrywide weather conditions, followed by a roundup of the latest economic news and the Sport Planet segment. Welcome to Sport Planet, the slot dedicated to all things sport in action. We commence with action from the 2024 Euros. Davide Fratesi will be key to Italy's hopes of beating red-hot Spain at Euro 2024 on Thursday, after earning the faith of coach Luciano Spalletti, despite his peripheral role at Inter Milan. Now, midfielder Fratesi started just 6 matches in Inter's charge to the most recent Serie A title, but earned himself plaudits for a series of super sub displays in his first season for Simone Inzaghi's table-topping side. The 24-year-old netted 8 goals and set up 5 more in the equivalent of 15 games in all competitions for Inter last term, and his knack of popping up at the right place at the right time has translated to the international stage. Spain lead Group B on goal difference ahead of Italy, who know that a point on Thursday will probably be enough to ensure at least one of the 4 best third-place finishes, which gives a spot in the knockout stages. Staying with the Euros, Gareth Southgate must solve his Phil Foden conundrum as the England playmaker struggles to reproduce his brilliant Manchester City form at international level. While England can book their place in the last 16 of Euro 2024 by beating Denmark in Frankfurt on Thursday, Foden's latest underwhelming display for his country has sparked a debate about Southgate's use of such a sublime talent. Foden laboured to make an impact on England's nervy 1-0 win against Serbia and their Group C opener in Gelsenkirchen on Sunday. Stay tuned for your sports roundup. This concludes your midweek edition of Primetime News. Many thanks for tuning in. Do make time to join us tomorrow for another engaging edition. Another parting reminder to follow the on-screen prompts and subscribe to the Number TV platform in order to stay updated on developments shaping the global village. Feel free to interact with us in the comment section. Otherwise, from myself, Michael Madimba, and the crew behind the scenes that ensures this production comes to life, it's good night.